Yosh has finished sanding throughout the boat. Now it's time to get it ready for varnishing and for the top coat of paint.
Looks sick! The vessel's going to have a nice surprise in a few days, I reckon. Over the last 4 years of living and sailing on Nandji, we've continually completed upgrades to our vessel, and slowly but surely we are getting her closer to our ideal home. With the current global pandemic and our baby Spud on the way, we figured now is the time to finish Nandji off with a fresh new look downstairs. Trying to create a traditional but modern look, we have planked up areas of the boat, and to brighten the interior are opting to paint areas white and then varnish the rest of the exposed wood. The camera went flat yesterday afternoon when I was in the middle of doing this painting, but coming back into it this morning, that wall's looking pretty white. It's only matte at the moment because it's the primer, but I guess when that's all glossy and reflecting it, along with all the other wood and glossy and reflecting, it is what it is now. Let's just finish it and then we'll make judgment calls.
We've got a date this morning with the cushion guy. He's going to come and do a little trial fit.
Bit of a dry fit for the two base here. He hasn't finished yet, but he just wants to make sure that they fit properly.
Yeah.
But so we'll go upstairs, but you haven't seen what's been going on upstairs yet.
I haven't, because I tried to come down and have a look the other day, but the fumes were just too much, and so I needed to wait for them to dry a bit more.
Yeah, so we were just kind of keeping you away from any sort of dust and fume, but this morning, let's go get a reaction from the boss.
Alright, let's have a look, see what Yosh has been up to, eh? Oh my god, wow. Oh my goodness.
What do you think?
Wow, yeah, it looks good.
First impressions?
It's different. Yeah, looks good.
You look worried.
No, I'm okay, I'm just trying to take it all in, you know, it's a bit of a change, yeah. Yeah, just like, yeah, thinking, cool.
What are you thinking?
It looks good. Yeah, it looks good.
But?
It looks good, yeah.
But what should I have done different?
Nothing, it's just adjusting to everything. Yeah, no, it looks good. Are you gonna feel, I don't know, like...
No, they're not gonna be filled, but they need to make sure that there's...
Because it kind of looks a bit...
Yeah, it can't be patchy like that.
It's a bit tacky.
Yeah, that's first coat of primer.
Yeah, that's why, yeah.
And that's the same as the back there, like, we need to make sure all those gaps are fully filled.
Yeah, that was what I was looking at, because I was looking at it and I'm thinking there's like, you know, things that aren't great, but this is only the first coat of primer, so I'm trying to imagine it like looking perfect. Yeah. Like, see, like, for example, like this line, see how it's all white in between and everything? Yeah.
Like, that's what it'll all look like.
Okay, yeah.
That's to the point where we want to make it all look like that.
Yeah, okay, sweet. Wow.
It's cozy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. It's going to look really good once it's done. And that's going to be our feature wall as well, so we're going to have some cool things up there.
Yeah.
And just make it a little bit more modern and like homely.
Yeah.
So.
A bit more fancy.
Yeah, it's going to look so nice when all the wood is varnished as well.
Yeah,
and that's going to look so glossy and beautiful.
When you put the glossy wood in your mind.
Yeah.
And then like think of this fully high gloss table that looks sick.
Yeah. Yeah, we were trying to get the right balance between the white and the wood. We didn't want one to be more overpowering than the other.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have some feature things on this wall that are made out of wood as well to break up the white, and some more like natural things. So I think that's going to be a nice blend. Yeah. To tie it all in.
No, I think it'll look good. It will look good.
It will look good, yeah.
Yeah. So what have you been up to while I've been doing all this, hey boss?
Well, I've been editing the videos, so this is proudly brought to you by me. But yeah, I'm 27 weeks pregnant. I'm almost 28 weeks pregnant, so I'm like a couple of days out of the second trimester and I'm on to the third trimester, which is so cool. Like the second trimester has treated me so well. I've still had heaps of energy. I've been exercising every day, looking after myself, eating really healthy, and yeah, I just want to try to continue this on for as long as I can, because I know at some point I'm going to be slowing down. But I've just been trying to stay active and continue, I don't know, just living the best that I can. Yeah, and bump has been amazing. Like I have like a little bit of a routine where at the start the baby used to wake me up in the morning, like it was a really early mover, and then I started working out in the mornings, and so the baby sleeps in through my workout, and then once I finish my workout and I have a cold smoothie, then it's the baby's turn, and it just goes all day long, all night long. Last night I was still up at like 1 or 2 o'clock with the baby moving, trying to go to sleep. So it's super active. I didn't think it was going to be this active. Like I'm very surprised at how much movement there is. So yeah, and I have to pee like 10 times a day. But yeah, everything else is really good. So I'm feeling really good.
Awesome. And so yeah, we're in the boatyard and we're nearly into the third trimester. So yeah, I pretty much got to get the old Harold Holt on and hurry the F up.
Oh, Yosh has been seriously working. I don't know. He's been struggling to film everything, but he's been in the boatyard for at least 11 hours every day, just working on the boat, like trying to get this done. So you know, like mad props to Yosh. Like so much work he's done.
Thanks, Basil.
Yeah.
But I've got to get it finished. There's no point in doing all of this and not having it finished. So we're getting into the home stretch. And now I just gotta bring it home, mate. Bring it home. Crack that whip, bring it on home for the ending, you know. Strong finish, Yosh. Come on, son. Strong finish. Let's keep smashing it.
Yeah, where's the couch guy?
Where's the couch guy?
Let's do this.
Amazing, I tell you. That's good. I'll have to cut more of that table out, which is fun.
Yeah.
To make it comfortable going in and out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's comfy, hey?
Yeah, it is good.
Now is the time. I ended up brushing out all the dreadlocks in Yosh's hair, so he's ready for a haircut. We found this other barbershop with some young lads that run it, so more up Yosh's alley. It's been so hard getting Yosh here. He says he wants to have a haircut, but he's like, okay, after dinner. So then we have dinner, and then we drive past the barber, and then he's like, oh, I just need to go to the toilet, so we're gonna go home, go to the toilet. Oh, I just got to feed Marley, and then, oh, I just got to take Marley for a walk. And I'm like, look, we'll take Marley for a walk after the barber, but we're going to the barber, so we're finally here.
What can I say? I got a man that's got a responsibility.
He just puts everything before this.
I'm happy to cut it off. I'm sick of it. I look hideous. It's hot. It's long. I'm in a bit of a conundrum with what's going to go on with the bulkhead here, because how I've slutted up the sides, the joins are much tighter and the paint just sits in there a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to fill up those gaps, and it gives it much more flat, uniform, one colour. Whereas on the bulkhead, you know, like I've gone through a lot of effort. I've primed through these little cracks like 5 or 6 times now, yeah, they just show out, and you get the little paint that catches between, even though you try to thin it out and everything. Like, so, and then leaves like a dark line. And I just think that if I paint that with a top coat, it's not going to look as nice with these lots of little cracks in between. And it's going to be a lot harder to put the top coat on and get a nice flat uniform colour. So I'm thinking that I might need to go over all of them and fill up all of those cracks with a bit of putty, a bit of epoxy putty, and then just scrape it down so there's still the indent, so the planks aren't like level, because the whole point is to see the differentiation between each vertical slat. But yeah, at the moment I just don't think that's going to look good enough with a top coat straight on top of that. So I'm going to have to try to make this bulkhead look more like the slats that I've put on the side. This job's turning into a little bit more than what it should be, but we've come this far now, so no need to second guess yourself, just make it look good, mate.
It's been 6 years since I left home. I ain't going back, wanna let you know. Can't believe you let me go. Like you stuck a knife right through my soul. And I know that you can blame it all on me, but it's not fair. You can take it all on me.
I think that was a very wise decision. That's going to look heaps better. Yeah, I'm definitely happy I did that. Like, I'll have a lot more sanding to do once again, and I'll have to do another coat of primer, but that's not such a big deal. I'll have to get off all these bits of epoxy that I've put over that primer, but that's all right. I've got to give it a good sand back anyway, and then I can do another final primer and another sand. But I'm definitely happy that I went to the extra effort to fill up these gaps, because I do think it's going to make a big impact on the final coat and what the final appearance is going to be. And since we're going to all this effort, we might as well go that extra step. So the grand idea of laying up all these slats and painting this bulkhead has definitely turned into a grand idea of time. And I've done so many layers of primer, but it's important to get it all first up now and really get it in those crevasses with the primer, because when the top coat goes on, the top coat's quite thin, and even though we will do layers of the top coat, you still want to have that perfect flat white background, because if you do still have those darker patches, you'll be able to see that imperfection through the top coat. I think the best thing is now I'll just give it all a solid sand with 120 front to back of the boat, and I'll be able to see then the areas that will need to be redone. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to sit on the sander now, I think, for the next 6 hours and make everything as smooth and back to how I want it to be. When the top coat goes on, I don't want any little scratches or anything. I want it to be one big flat colour. I don't want to see any sand marks, don't want to see brush strokes. I want it to be a solid layer of paint, and I know that's going to be quite a tedious thing to do, but gone to so much effort now, we've just got to continue, and there's no point doing a half-assed basically. I always say that. If you're going to do a job, do it properly the first time, or else I'm going to be sitting here staring at it for the next 5-10 years going, fucking should have done that, should have done it. Thing with painting, it's all in the prep. More sanding, more sanding, more sanding, more sanding. Bit of a mess. Pretty dusty down here. I had my safety glasses on, but they were just sweating up and pissing me off too much, so I took them off. And I don't know how I look, but I definitely feel like I've got some shit in my face. Let's give it all a vac. It's come up pretty good. There isn't too much areas that I need to go over, but I definitely need to put another coat of primer on, and then I'll just give it a hand sand I think next time, and that should be sufficient. But we'll see what happens once the primer goes on. I'll just roll it on this time. Yeah. Well, in the words of Bonita's old man, that's about as good as you're going to get it. I've hand sanded so many times over and over. I basically hand sanded the whole boat of where it's been primed, and then I took back too much in some areas, so I patch primed, hand sanded over all of that, and did that twice. And now, like I said, that's about as good as you're going to get it. It takes so long, just the hand sanding, and just that little fine art, just with 2 fingers and a little piece of sandpaper, like so that's it, man. Hopefully it's a solid enough foundation so when the top coat goes on you can't see through, but there'll be 2 or 3 layers of top coat, and man, if I need to buy more paint for top coat to cover up these patches or blemishes if you can see them, then that's what's going to happen, because I ain't priming and sanding it again. It takes so long. So let's move forward. Time to get the vessel, and sanding is done.
Yosh has finished sanding throughout the boat, and so now it's time to get it ready for varnishing and for the top coat of paint. So my job is now to go through and clean the entire boat. So it's a huge job. There's dust that has just gotten in everywhere. I mean, things were taped off and stuff, but it just gets pretty crazy. So yeah, stoked we have a vacuum cleaner, and just gonna start wiping down the surfaces now. So I've just vacuumed the floor in here. I think it's gonna take a few goes to get it nice and spotless to that level, ready for priming, but one step at a time. Yeah, they're up.
How'd that go, Basil?
There's a lot of dust. Yeah.
That's insane, eh?
Yeah, I might need a freshie.
Good work.
There's so much dust in here.
Yeah, there's lots of nooks, eh?
Yeah, like there's heaps down these.
Yeah.
It's like surprised I got the vacuum cleaner.
Oh, you could get it down there? I was like, I need that skinny.
I squashed it and then just like fed it to the vacuum.
That's right, you're the boss. So the boss has been wiping down all the areas that's been primed. She's been cleaning the boat front to back, get rid of all the dust, and I'm just getting ready to do the top coat. But it is quite hard because it is in the tropics. So my plan is to try to eliminate the moisture and the heat in the air, which will make it hard to make that nice flat finishing layer, which is what we're after. So I'm gonna just do that early in the morning. I'll start painting it like as soon as the sun comes up, because that seems to be the coolest part of the day, and hopefully it doesn't rain overnight so there isn't too much moisture in the air. But I was just going over the paint and what it recommends, like how fine to sand down to on the primer. Like on the outside, when we prepared Nandji and the top sides, we used 120, which gives you like, it takes out all the sort of blemishes and imperfections, but you still leave a bit of a scratch from your sanding. And on the label of the paint it says to use like 320 to 400 grit as a final sand on the primer before you start laying up the top coats to get a super flat, smooth surface. So looking at it here, you know, it looks awesome, and this is the light that it's generally going to be under, really, until we put a big bright fluoro on there. But you can kind of just see the scratch marks still, and it's just all about how anal I want to get here and how perfect I'm going to make it. But as I go over it with an LED light up super close, said no one ever, but that's what I'm going to do. So I think I will, I've got some 400 and I'm going to give this wall a nice light sand. Basically it's all in the prep, you know, so what you see now is what is going to show through with the top coat. So when you put the top coat on, because they're so thin, even though it'll do like 3 or 4 layers, they're just going to be so thin. And so whatever imperfections there are in the primer, it just shows straight through in the top coat. So it's now or never, basically, to do it. So I ran it by the boss and she said she's not too phased about having to wipe it down again. She's a weapon. Maybe I'm just frothing so hard because I know it's going to look so good, but you know, when you're doing a bit of sanding, you just press play a bit of old punk music, you sand like there's no tomorrow. It is top coat morning. I came over early yesterday morning and put the top coat on half of downstairs here, but it got a little bit too warm. I'm trying to get in here early to beat the heat and the humidity of the day, and just because it really affects the application of the paint. It started to get too hot yesterday. I finished up at about 9:30 in the morning, started about 7ish. The sun comes up at 7 in Malaysia, so that's kind of first light is around then. And so that's what I'm here again doing today. Well, the first coat of the areas that I've done looks pretty sick. But today I'm going to do the feature wall, which is the most important wall, so I need to make this look really good. So I'll mix up some paint now and let's get stuck into it. I'm pretty keen to do this. It's going to look so sick, man. These sides look awesome. A bit of mood lighting on underneath. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's coming together. How's that? We got a reflection in it already. Woo-hoo! That's only the top coat, so everywhere is now done with a single coat. That little tin had enough to cover the whole area plus some, so I should be able to get 3 top coats on. So that'll make everything look pretty amazing. So we'll just leave Nandji alone now for the next 24 hours, maybe longer. Let everything set, go super hard, and then I'll have to read the label, but I think maybe like a light sand with like 600 grit or something like that, just to take off any last little bits of dust that might have been around, or just if there's a little bubble maybe, if it hasn't set down, I'll have to take off maybe a little run mark here and there. But yeah, so I think that's the game plan. I'm glad I put that extra effort in the prep to make that wall the way it is, because now all those grooves just looks really good, and I'm super happy, and I'm glad we decided to paint that wall white. Looks sick. I knew I had to do a good job on it because we're choosing to paint it white, so it has to be like a really good job. You can't get away with it, you know. And yeah, looks sick. The vessel's gonna have a nice surprise in a few days, I reckon.
Everybody's walking toward the tightrope on a place in a foreign world. Tidal waves and broken like a starlet. I am drawn, but I'm made for. I was made to fall.